Hello everyone, welcome to Spring Boot AI classes. In our previous classes, we learned about how we can integrate different LLM models with Spring. And today we are going to learn one more concept, MCP. Most of the people who knows about Spring AI, they might aware of the MCP protocol, but the people who have no idea what is MCP protocol, it is a standardized protocol. What it will do, it enables AI models interact with external tools and resources in a structured way. That means if we want to communicate with other applications, there should be some standard way is required. For that, MCP, the protocol is introduced. So think, it's a bridge between your AI models and the real world, like allowing them to access the database or external APIs, file systems, any other external services through a consistent interface. It supports multiple transport mechanisms to provide flexibility across different environments. If you see here, what Spring provides, the MCP Java SDK provides Java implementation of the Model Context Protocol. It's enabling standardized interaction with AI models and tools through both synchronous and asynchronous communication patterns. Spring AI enables MCP with a given Spring Boot starters and MCP Java annotations for the purpose to make application sophisticated AI powered applications that can seamlessly connect to external systems. That means Spring developers can participate in both sides of the MCP ecosystem. You can build a client as well as build the consume MCP servers, which will expose Spring based services to the wider AI community. How the architecture looks like. If you see here, MCP Java SDK architecture, MCP client, MCP session, MCP transport client will be there, MCP server session will be there. Standard IO, client or server layer, what it will do, MCP client manage the client side operation and server connections. What MCP server will do, it will handles server side protocol operations and client requests. Both components utilize the session layer for communication management. Session layer is the middle layer as per architecture. The middle layer manages the communication patterns and maintains connection state. What usually the definition of session will have the session will maintain connection state. How two applications or two protocols has been communicated each other. For that, suppose if you are logged into the application, for some time your login details needs to be maintained the session. So that type of concept MCP also will be maintained. MCP session, core session management interface. MCP client session, it's a client specific. Server sessions, server specific. Then transport layer. What is transport will do is MCP transport, it manages JSON RPC messages, serialization and deserialization. It provides the foundation for all high level communication. This is the MCP client. If you see here, AI model, Java Gen AI application, Java MCP client, then MCP server it will connect. From Java MCP client to server, if you want to call web APIs, any other APIs for permissions using protocols, we can do it directly. These are all Java MCP client. If you want to search internet or connect to database through MCP server, we can do it. From Java Gen AI application, then MCP client, MCP client will be called MCP server. Then we'll get the response. What MCP server will do? MCP server will connect to the any database or file system. Then we will get the response as per our requirement. These are the different features for MCP client. Then MCP server, same way. What it will do is it's a foundational component in the MCP architecture that provides tools, resources, and capabilities to clients. Tool exposure and discovery, resource management with URI-based access, prompt template provision and handling, synchronous and asynchronous API support. These are the different implementations. How we'll do Spring API MCP integration? As we mentioned earlier, we need Spring Boot starters. That is starter, Spring AI starter MCP client, then servlet-based streamable HTTPs, stateless, streamable HTTP, and SSE support. Spring AI starter MCP client Webflux based streamable HTTP, and SSE trans. These are the starters, server starters. Same way, Spring AI starter MCP server. This is the property for WebMVC. Spring AI starters MCP server WebMVC. Streamable HTTP. We have to use this dependency. Reactive purpose. If you want Webflux, we will use it. Spring AI MCP annotations. What it will do is the MCP annotation module enable developers to create MCP tools, resources, and prompts using simple annotations. What are the key features? Server annotations, @MCP tool, @MCP resource, MCP prompt, MCP complete. Client annotations, special parameters. These are the few things about MCP at high level. So, what is the main use cases, real-time use cases for Spring by using the MCP protocol? So, as I already mentioned, it's an open standard that defines how AI models securely connect to the external tools. If I ask ChatGPT, so what is the real-time use cases for the MCP? So this how it has given. Mainly, what is the key components in MCP, MCP client, MCP server, tools, then resources, right? Which we already checked in our video. So what are the real-time use cases? Suppose imagine we have AI assistant for employees. What MCP does? It will connect to Jira, Confluence, Git, Splunk, DBs, fetch the real-time data, executes action securely. So if you ask, suppose, why did last night's production job fail? It will go to the Splunk, it will fetch the logs and it will verify the log, and it will check why it has been failed based on the exception details. So same way, right? MCP tools, what it will do? Splunk logs, Jenkins job status, Git commit difference, incident ticket. So these MCP tool will invoke these APIs and it will give the answers. So it will give the live answers, no hallucination. And the banking and financial real-time decisions, what it will do? One of the example is AI credit or fraud analyst. With MCP, first it will connect to transaction DB, KYC system, fraud rules engine, risk scoring API. So if suppose if you ask, is this transaction suspicious? First what it will do is, first it will fetch the transactions, then fraud rules engine, it will run fraud strong API, scoring API, full customer profile, generate explanation. So it is for auditable and deterministic API. Like that, DevOps and SRE Copilot also, it will go to the Kubernetes, prompts, AWS CloudWatch, Terraform. If you ask why is pod restarting every 5 minutes, what it will do, first it will get pod logs, check memory metrics, fetch deployment config. RAG system, So like static vector DB stale data, what it will do, it will look for live documents, live DB queries, permission awareness. So suppose in case of ESG banking, what was the carbon emission in quarter 3 2024? It will fetch the ESG DB tables, latest PDFs, Excel uploads, then it will give the latest answers. Like that, this is the customer support automation. There are different use cases for different purpose, which will give the results if you use MCP. That is for standardized format. So in software development agent and healthcare. So this about the real-time use cases about MCP and how we will connect using Spring with MCP. So if you want to more additional informations, these are the annotation documents, Spring Boot documents. Go through this docs Spring document, then you can understand them more elaborated way. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day ahead.